So speak life to the day's darkest night. Speak life when the sun won't shine and you don't know why. Look into the eyes of the broken hearted. Watch them come alive as soon as you speak. You speak love, you speak. You speak life. You speak
Touch, to smell, to taste, to feel. These are our five senses. And God says, I've given you these abilities because I want you to be able to have pleasure. But here's the thing. As much as God wants us to have pleasure, in our culture, I believe that we've gotten to the place where that's all we seek, is pleasure. We've become obsessed with pleasure. We chase after pleasure. Our goal in life is to have nothing but pleasure. That is all we want. And so for many of us, what's happened is fun or pleasure has become our God. That's what we want. And this is what 1 Timothy says. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 17 says this. He says, He richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. That He richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. But at the same time, in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 4, this is what he says. He says, in the last days there will be people who prefer good times to worship God. In the last days, there will be people who prefer good times to worship God. We don't know anybody like that, do we? You know anybody that's that way? That's like, you know what? And especially not in North Georgia, in the mountains, where there's Lake Lanier, the mountains, there's everything. In the summertime, who would be the one to say, we don't know nobody to be like, you know what? Instead of going to church and worship, I'm going to go to the lake. We don't know nobody like that, do we? No, I didn't think so. Does that surprise anybody? That people would say, I would rather enjoy pleasure in these things that I want to do instead of worshiping God. I don't think it surprises any of us that there's so many of us that are that way. So here's the thing. How do we live as a Christian and live this kind of life, live a life that God's calling us to live in the environment and the culture that we're living in? How do we do that? Because see, if you think about it, everything pushes towards pleasure. Everything pushes towards having fun and having a good time. Matter of fact, let's play a little game. I'm going to say some things that has soaked into our culture. I'm going to say some phrases and I want you guys to finish them. Okay? Let's see how good you are. And so here's the first one, real easy. If it feels good, do it. If it feels good, do it. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Matter of fact, I was happy last night. Y'all should have seen me dancing. And let me say this about dancing because we had that dance. You cannot trust Teresa. If Teresa has a phone, she will video it and she will put it and publish it for the whole world to see. So if you see Teresa and you're doing anything questionable, you look to see if she's got a phone in her hand. Because if she does, she's going to get you. She done put me on Facebook dancing. And it was ugly. Somebody told me, they said, you're dancing. I said, I wasn't dancing, man. I was having convulsions. I said, that's as good as it gets. But don't worry, be happy. What about this? TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. And this is my personal favorite, and I say this all the time. Most of the time when I say it, I'm being sarcastic. But are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet? You know, it doesn't get any better than this. It doesn't get any better than this. And our last one is life's a beach. Just wonderful, rosy, everything's great. See, here's the thing. The fact is that all of these things indicate we're living in a society where there's an experience. That you got to have an experience. And so everything pushes towards experience. Matter of fact, how many of you noticed Quick Trip or racetrack? Have you noticed the new Quick Trips or racetracks? Man, they're no longer these little old gas stations that got 2 pumps and a little old building you just walk in and you pay this rundown. Heck no, man. It's an experience now to go to racetrack. You go to that racetrack in Gainesville, or you go to one of these new racetracks, you walk in, it's like, You've got ice cream over here, you've got pizza over here, you've got whatever you want, and it's just like, wow. And I mean, truthfully, even the racetrack here is not much of an experience. It's a little experience, not much. But how many of you go to that, used to be Lou's. I don't know what it's called now. But the racetrack in Cornell, same gas price. How many of you go to Lou's over here, right beside racetrack? That little old white building's kind of run down, nothing fancy? No, because there's no experience there. It's just like, I was just getting gas. But I go to racetrack. I can make my own milkshake. I can get yogurt. I can get a pizza. I can do whatever I want. Matter of fact, they got tables for me to sit down right there and eat it. It's an experience. Even churches now. A lot of churches now, they don't call it a service. They call it an experience. Have you been to our experience? Come to the 11 o'clock experience. And so everything, our society is saying that we're pushing towards having an experience. Matter of fact, there's a book and it's called The Unreality Industry. And it says America, what drives the economy now in America is that we are a 24-hour entertainment society. That 24 hours a day, everything has to entertain us. Said the news has to entertain us. It can't be just somebody, a talking head up there like me, talking to you. No, they got to have something entertaining. Matter of fact, let's just go back, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years. How many of you remember going to the bank? You go to the bank, I know you guys got so much money, y'all always at the bank. But you know, when you used to go to the bank, you would go stand in line, take your money up to the teller, and then leave. But now it's all changed. It's entertaining. They have plasma TVs for you to watch while you wait. They have stuff on the wall for you to read that entertains you. You see, even going to the bank now has become entertainment. It's like, hey, let's go to the bank. Even churches, we have to entertain you. We have to use video. I just talk like this all the time. And I got up and I preached to you like this. Never moved. Just monotone. No jokes. Y'all be like, just shoot me. I can't believe he's going to go on for an hour like this. But even in church, we have to entertain. So our society has gotten to this place where we're saying that we have to have entertainment. And there's nothing wrong with it. But we have to have it. There's another book called We Are Amusing Ourselves to Death. And in this book, We Are Amusing Ourselves to Death. It says, in the 18th century, American was represented by Boston. That most people were like Boston. In the 19th century, it said that America was represented by Chicago and New York. The 20th century, they said America is represented by Vegas. Vegas, baby. Vegas is the nation. It is the entertainment industry of America, isn't it? I mean, that's what, if you want to go be entertained, you go to Vegas. And that's what America is represented by. Matter of fact, our whole society is built on, let's have fun. In today's environment, it's so easy to get caught up in just enjoying yourself and having a good time. And listen, God says that pleasure is good. There's nothing wrong with it. But here's what He also says. He says, pleasure should never be your goal. That pleasure is not what you should strive for. That there's so much more for your life than just pleasure, is what God says. He says, I want you to have more than just pleasure. So I want to give you several things right now that just chasing after pleasure, seeking pleasure, running after pleasure, I want to give you some dangers for it, okay? The first one is this. If you chase after pleasure all your life, the first thing you're going to realize is it's a waste of your life. It's a waste of your life. If you were put on here for this earth, can I tell you what it was not for? You were not put here on this earth just to sit around a pool and watch TV. God said, I didn't make you just so that you can just lay around a swimming pool, watch TV, and just be like, hey, life is great. No, that's not why He put you here. Matter of fact, the Bible says this. It says, by the pleasure of living, life is choked out of them, and they produce nothing. By the pleasure of living, life is choked out of them, and they produce nothing. That word I want you to see, there's produce. America used to be the most productive nation in the world. We used to be the most productive nation in the world. It has changed now to where we're the most entertained. We are the most entertained nation in the world. You see, you can have a lot of stuff going on, and you can be Mr. Social Butterfly or Miss Social Butterfly, and you can even be whatever you want to be, but you're not accomplishing anything. And so my point is, don't chase after pleasure. Instead, chase after what God's will is for your life. Because God has a plan for you. And God says it's not for you to sit and watch TV. It's not for you to chase after happiness. It's not for you to chase after whatever the next big thing is. He says instead, I've got a plan for you. I've got a calling on your life. And that's what I want you to chase after. If all you're chasing after is pleasure, and that's all your life's built on, it's going to be a waste. Next thing, not only it's a waste of your life, it causes conflict with others. When all you do is chase after pleasures and you put your pleasures over other people, it causes conflict. The Bible says, where do all the fights and quarrels come from? They come from your desires for pleasure, is what it says. Have you ever watched two kids argue over a piece of candy? If you haven't, I can bring my two boys up here and put one piece of candy out here. And you can watch them fight. We'll just have entertainment. Because they're putting their desires for pleasure over people. Matter of fact, have you ever watched a husband and wife? Man, that both of them have the same day off, and they're putting their desires, but one says, I want to do this, the other says, I want to do this. And all of a sudden they start fighting because they have their own pleasures that they want to do, and they're putting their desires over each other. You see, that then becomes a conflict. Christy says, I want you to do this. I want you to get the backyard straightened out. And I'm like, well, I want to go play golf. Who's going to win? No, Christy's been losing on that fight for years. She's been after me for years to get everything clean. But it causes us conflict when our priority for pleasure takes over people. The third thing it does, it tempts me to do wrong. Hebrews 10:25 says, there is pleasure in sin for a short time. Have you ever heard anybody say this old saying? It says, ugly as sin. That's ugly as sin. Do you know sin's not ugly? Sin is good looking. Sin is sexy. If sin was ugly, you wouldn't want to do it. Man, that's ugly. I don't want to do that. But no, when you look at sin, you're like, ooh, that's so tempting. That's so enticing. I want to do it. And so sin ain't ugly. Sin is this beautiful thing. And it's fun. The Bible doesn't make no bones about it. It says that there's pleasure in sin for a short time. In other words, you'll have a good time for a little while, but then there comes a buyback. There comes this kickback after a while. There's pleasure in sin, but it's only for a short time because then you have to deal with the consequences. And so sin's not ugly, and so it tempts us when we chase after pleasure. It tempts us to do wrong. Another thing, it leads to boredom. Do you know if all you do is chase after pleasure, you're going to become bored? Some of you think, I'd like to try it. You would. As a matter of fact, Solomon says this to us in his biography. You know, Solomon wrote a biography, and if you've never read his biography, it's Ecclesiastes. In Ecclesiastes, that Solomon says, this is what he says in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, and this is verse 1, and then verse 10 and 11. He says, I decided to enjoy myself. Anything I wanted, I got. I did not deny myself any pleasures. Then I thought all about I had done, and I realized it didn't mean a thing. It was like chasing the wind. Of no use at all. Is what he said. He says, I chased after everything. I gave myself anything I wanted. But come to find out, it didn't do any good. He says, it wasn't fun. Listen, life was meant for more than the next party you were going to have. Life was meant for more than just going out for the next fix. God says, I have so much more for you than just the next thing. Chasing after the next thing. Matter of fact, if that's what you're chasing after, there's 2 laws that go into effect. If all you chase after is pleasure, there's 2 laws that are going to go into effect in your life. The first law is the law of diminishing return. And what do I mean by that? The law of diminishing return. The law of diminishing return is this. That when you chase after something and you get it, next time you have to have a little bit more. Next time you have to have a little bit more. Let me tell you something I used to chase after. I used to be a junkie when it comes to thrill seeking. Started off with roller coasters. Man, I'd ride any roller coaster. I wasn't scared of roller coasters. I used to get on them and I would get this thrill and I'd get this excitement. I remember even as Alex was, Alex is 12. I guess he was about 9. I would sneak him on. I remember sneaking him on the Ninja and having to hold him in because his head wouldn't fit. His head was below the headrest. And I'm thinking, oh Lord Jesus, I hope he don't fall out. His mama's going to kill me if he falls out of this Ninja. Because they didn't measure him. They just let him go through. And I remember going on Goliath. And when we went on Goliath, he gets off Goliath and he's like, Daddy, my legs are still shaking. Why is that? And I'm like, it's because that scared you to death, son. Isn't that great? That's awesome. And but now that it's been a couple years, we went and we rode Goliath, and he goes, hey, my legs don't shake anymore. And that's the way I was. I chased after the thrill of excitement and the thrill of energy, and so I rode roller coasters. That didn't give me the excitement anymore. So I started bungee jumping. Christy and I, we'd go bungee jump. And that made those legs shake again. Like, holy smokes, man, am I crazy? You walk up this tower and you jump off, and first you jump off feet first because that's enough. Then you get brave enough, like, hey, I've done this enough, man. Jumping off feet first is boring. I'm going to dive off. And I'm going to watch that ground come up my face. Then I lost interest in that. The excitement was gone. So then we decided, well, and of course this is all before kids. But then we decided we were going to have to take it up another notch. So we go 15,000 feet in the air. In a perfectly good plane. And decided to jump out. And I remember, it was a tandem jump. So I got this guy that's strapped to my back. And I remember that first time. I remember we get out there and there's this little step about this big. Yeah. And he goes, all right, we're going to go out here on this step. And then we're going to step out on this little step. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And he says, then we're going to jump. And I'm like, okay. We get out of that little step and I'm trying to step on it. And he's pushing me. I'm like, whoa, wait. I don't want to miss a step. And then it dawned on me, like, stupid. It don't matter if you miss a step or not, you're falling. And so, you see, it wasn't enough just to ride roller coasters. Roller coasters don't give me that thrill anymore. Well, the same thing with you for the pleasures that you're seeking after. Those pleasures that you're seeking after, you get it once and it's not enough anymore. You've got to take it another notch. You've got to take it another notch. You've got to step it up another notch. And so what happens is that first time of that hit of those drugs, that's not enough anymore. You've got to take a stronger hit. You've got to go to something stronger where maybe you started off smoking marijuana. Hey, there's nothing wrong with smoking dope. It's legal in all these countries. It's no big deal. It's even legal in Colorado, California. Heck, it's even getting legal in Georgia. I don't know. One day it probably will be, but it's no big deal. But the thing is, all of a sudden you don't get that same feeling from smoking that marijuana. So guess what you got to do? You got to step it up a notch. You got to get that marijuana laced with something. Then you got to step that up a notch, because man, that's just laced. I'm not just go straight for the cocaine. Crank, whatever it is, crack. Whatever that stuff is now. Just going to step it up a notch. And so we find ourselves that these things that we're chasing after does not give us what we want. I know some of y'all think, shit, you miss me. I don't do drugs. I don't drink, you miss me. Well, let me get you. For some of you decorating your home, it's not enough just to go out and buy that one piece of furniture. And because that fix lasts for a little while, you're like, oh yes, I got a new sofa. 2 months later, you're like, it ain't good enough. I need a bigger sofa. I need a plusher sofa. I went to Mom and Daddy's and they had a lazy boy that had a motor in it and the button and the legs kick out. I got to have one better. Or, some of you TV guys, it's not good enough. Remember when you had the 52-inch projector TV? And then you had just the 2 little speakers? Now all of a sudden that's not good enough, is it? No, we got to have 72-inch. We got 2 speakers is not enough. They make 7 speakers now for surround sound. I've got to have all 7 of them because I can tell the difference between 7 and 6. So I got to go out and buy them, and I got to have more amps. I got to have, my original one was 200, but I've got to have 100 watts to every channel of my speaker now. I got to have 700 watt amp. We just keep stepping it up. So you follow me? That we keep saying, I got to have more, I got to have more. When you chase pleasure, you've always got to have more. It's not going to be enough. You're going to want more. And then there's this other law, and it's the law of balance. That you've got to have this law of balance. And when you chase pleasure, you can never have enough. But let me tell you, one of my absolute, I'll tell you this. Yesterday at the wedding, we had a foot washing back here. First time we've ever done a foot washing, or I've ever done foot washing in church, at a marriage. And so Jacob Taylor washed her feet. Well, I guess they got tired I guess they thought everybody was too busy. I don't know what they thought. But they just decided they weren't going to put their shoes back on. So they come, if you saw them, they come be bopping up here for the finish of the wedding barefooted. And I just kind of like, okay, this is a first. Well, it kind of caught me off guard. I thought they were going to put their shoes back on, come back up here. And they come up here barefooted. And I'm like, okay. And I lost my place. I'm like, okay, where? And like, you guys crack me up. And so I'm trying to find my place, and Taylor's over here. Y'all probably don't hear. She goes, what's so funny? Like, I just love you guys. Where am I supposed to pick up right here? Read. And some of y'all thought I was about to cry. I come off the stage, and somebody, Pastor, you got a little choked up there, didn't you? You was about to cry. I was like, no, I couldn't find a spot. What about to cry? But let me tell you, and they're like, you don't cry for nothing. I almost cried the other day. We were at the Mall of Georgia, and I went by the Cinnabon place, and it's gone out of business. I almost cried. Because Christy will tell you, I love me some Cinnabon. I mean, they got the minis, they just make me mad. I want the whole one. I get 2 of them, one for me, one for Christy. Well, Christy just eats the center out of hers, so I really get 1.5. But as good as Cinnabon is, the icing over this, oh God. As good as it is, there's got to be balance. I couldn't eat Cinnabons for 3 times a day and snack. I could. But can you imagine what would happen to me? My blood work would be all messed up. And so here's my point. There's got to be balance. in everything you do. You see, it's not enough just to constantly chase after something. There's got to be balance. And God says, I want you to have balance in your life. God says, yes, that these things are great. They're wonderful. But I don't want you just to chase after them all the time. I don't want them to become your God. He says, I want you to have them. I want you to enjoy them. But at the same time, I want you to also chase after me. I want you to also do what I want you to do. I have a calling for you. I have a purpose and I have a plan. And if all you do is chase after the pleasures, it's going to destroy your character. It's going to destroy your character. Alex, if I get you to roll these for me, please, buddy. One more. One more. Come on. He fell asleep, or either that or I jumped.
That's it.
1 Timothy 5:6 says this. The one who lives for pleasure is dead even while she lives. The one who lives for pleasure is dead even while she lives. Think about that. How does this happen? How do you end up, if you're living for pleasure, finding yourself dead? Because let me tell you this, I don't believe that anybody just wakes up and says, I want to be an alcoholic. I don't believe anybody says that. We'll do a survey real quick. Anybody woke up this morning and said, today, I want to start a life of being an alcoholic? Just raise your hand, I'm just curious. Nobody said that. Nobody woke up this morning and said, today is the day. So how does that happen? How do we end up going down these streets? It starts with fascination. That's the first stage you go through. It starts with fascination. It starts with a wonder. Well, I wonder what that tastes like. I wonder what... You remember 12, 13 years old? Maybe you were younger. But I wonder what that cigarette tastes like. I wonder what that dip of Copenhagen tastes like. And I'm going to take you 12 years old, you dip Copenhagen, and you're wondering, it's going to make you throw up. It's going to make your head spin. You won't have to wonder long. It'll be coming. Just swallow it. If you're wondering, just put you some in there. Just don't spit, just swallow. And you'll no longer have to wonder what it tastes like. But, it starts with that wonder. I wonder what it's like. And as you sit and you wonder what it's like, and you say, it all of a sudden, it starts preoccupying us. It starts preoccupying our mind. And then it makes you want it. And it's kind of like, say, skiing. And you go out and you wonder what it's like skiing. So you go out and you buy you a boat and you get you some nice skis or a nice tube or a nice knee board, and you take that thing out for about an hour one Friday. And you have a good time, don't you? You're like, woohoo, that was fun, man. I had a blast. Well, the next week, you say, an hour wasn't enough. I'm going to take it out for the whole day. And Saturday, man, you take that boat out. You have a good time. You're skiing. You're slaloming. You're doing barrel rolls on your knee board. You're flipping 14 feet high on the inner tube. You're just having a blast. Well, it starts preoccupying you. And next thing you know, next Sunday, you're like, you know what? Let's just get to church. We don't need to go to church. Let's take the boat out. And it starts consuming us. And then that's when it becomes to the stage of addiction, where we become addicted to it. And it can be anything. But now you find yourself addicted. And then the last stage is destruction, where it destroys us. Philippians 3:19 says this, says, their future is eternal loss, for their God is their appetite. Their future is eternal loss, for their God is their appetite. Can I tell you where most of us are? Most of us are in stage 3 of addiction. Most of the people in America are in stage 3 where we are addicted. We just want more and more and more. It doesn't matter what it is. Matter of fact, there's been several articles written on U.S. News said this. The New York U.S. News did an article called America's Addiction to Addictions. They were addicted to our addictions. America's addiction to addiction. Newsweek said this. Newsweek did an article called Afflicted and Addicted. It says support groups are the answer for 15 million Americans. Another article, Addicted to Pleasure. Another article that was done was Hour by Hour Crack. Addictive Personalities was another article. You see, these are the headlines for us as America, which tells us that most of us are in the stage of being addicted, is what they're saying. But Jesus tells us, as a Christian, we're not supposed to be addicted to anything. And see, addiction can be anything. It's not just drugs. It's not just alcohol. That's what we like to point out, isn't it? Oh, drugs are terrible. Alcohol's terrible. Well, it can be many things. You can be addicted to TV. If I was to tell some of you, we talked about this last week, I'd tell somebody to turn your TV off, you'd have withdrawals. You'd fight me. People have come to me before and said, Pastor, can you help me out financially? We just don't have the money. Cut your cable off. That's $80 a month. What? Are you crazy? Cut my cable off? I can't watch TV. Yeah. You survive eating. I'm guilty of this. I've never stood up here before and told y'all made anything. You know, a lot of people won't preach on being overweight. I'll tell you, I'm overweight. I'm guilty of it. I'm working on it. What's your addiction? Is it one of these things? Is it TV? Is it shopping? What are you obsessed over? See, these things are things that will waste your time and that can suck you into the culture that we're wanting to take back. So how do we keep from taking our culture? How do we take our culture back? How do we take us back? The first thing is this. Remember the real purpose for your life. Remember the real purpose for your life. And here's the thing. Listen to me. Your life was so much more than just to be entertained. God has so much more of a plan for you than for you just to be entertained. God's like, the purpose of your life is so much more than just having fun. The purpose of your life is so much more than just experiencing thrills. God says, I've got so much more for you in plan than you just experience feels. The purpose of your life is so much more than you just feeling good. The purpose of your life is so much more, because this is what some of us in here are working for. The purpose of your life is so much more than just working for retirement. Because that's what some are like, I can just get retirement. Man, when I get retirement, I'm going to kick back and I'm going to do nothing. Hey, they did a survey about New York. They surveyed the people in New York that live in New York, and this is what they said with the survey. They said half of the people that live in New York die after 2 years of being retired. Why? Because there's so much more to life than just being able just to sit around and do nothing. God says, I didn't create you just to sit around, retire, and do nothing. So listen, here's my point. It doesn't matter what your age is. If you're still breathing, if you still have lungs in your air, and you're not pushing up daisies, can I tell you something? God still has a plan for you. God still has a job for you. God says, you still have a purpose if you're still alive. He's got a calling for you. And it's not chasing after all of these things. Instead, He's got a calling for you. Have you ever heard somebody say, I just live for the weekend? Man, I just live for the weekend. I've heard people say that, and here's the thing. They're chasing after the pleasures. Is what they're doing. They're saying, how soon can I get to the weekend? How soon can I get to the next night out on the town? How soon can I get on the golf course? How soon can I get the next whatever, is what they're saying. 1 Peter 4:2 says this is good, the good news. It says, from now on, live by the rest of your lives controlled by God's will, not by human desires. It goes on and says, you spent enough time in the past doing what pagans do. Your lives are spent in indecency, lust, drunkenness, orgies, drinking parties, and now when you don't join them, they insult you. But they will have to give an account for themselves to God. He's saying that, this is what he's saying is, now that you're a believer, you've got a new purpose in life. Your purpose in life, now that you're a believer, if you've accepted Christ into your life, your purpose is not party, drunkenness, orgies, and everything else. He says you have a new purpose. Because here's the thing. People say, oh, I don't want to become a Christian because then I become restricted. There's certain things I can do. No, there's not. I do all the drugs I want to do. I do. I smoke all the pot I want to smoke. I do all the cocaine I want to snort. I get drunk as often as I want to. I run around and have as many affairs as I want. But here's the thing. When God came into my life, He took those wants out of me. So it's not that I don't get to do them, it's I don't want to do them. And that's what I preach to you guys on a regular basis. If you fall in love with God and you chase after God, what you're going to find is these things that you used to want to do, where you used to want to party, where you used to want to do drugs, where you used to want to run around from affair to affair to affair. When you fall in love with God and you have a new purpose, you don't want to do those things anymore. You can do them. I have the ability to be able to do them, but I don't want to. There's other things I want to do. That's good preaching. You agree with me, don't you? She's like, especially that running around part. She's like, I agree with you 100% on that. But you have a different purpose. And those things you don't want anymore. See, those are things. So, well, here's a question for you, and we're fixing to wrap this thing up. But the question is this. Why so often are we chasing after all these pleasures? Why do we run after all of these pleasures? Can I tell you why? Because every one of us has a hole in us. A vacuum. And in that vacuum, only one thing can fill it. And that is God. And what we do is we chase after these pleasures, trying to fill the hole. Now, some of us, what we try to do is we try to mask our problems, and we chase after these pleasures. You know, that we're not happy with the way our marriage is. So we chase after these pleasures to mask our marriage problems. We're not happy with the way that our kids are growing up and turning out. And so we don't know what to do. So instead of knowing what to do, we just chase after the pleasures. And we try to fill it, this hole. And the problem is, it doesn't fill the hole. There's only one thing that will fill the hole. And that's God. And when God comes in here and fills this hole, He says, now you have a new meaning. Now you have a new purpose. Now you have a new life. But so many of us has taken this hole and put little God, little g, in here for the pleasures that have become our gods that we've chased after. And they're the things of our society and the things of our culture. And if you talk to people in our society and our culture, they'll be, oh, that's okay. And you know it's not. Because you still feel lonely. You still feel hurt. And you still feel like, I'm missing something. What you're missing is God. What you're missing is the purpose and the plan that He has for you. And so, I'm going to challenge you this morning. So, you know what? I've tried to fill this void in my life, this vacuum with so many things. So many different things. And I haven't been able to fill it. I still feel the loneliness. I still feel the depression. I still feel all of these things. And God says, if you'll quit chasing pleasures and chase me, I'll fill that void. I'll give you that sense that you're looking for. And He says, there's so much more to your life than the pleasures you're chasing. What's it going to be this morning? Are we going to continue to chase the pleasures? Or are we going to say, you know what, God, I'm going to chase you. I'm going to run after you. And let you fill this void in my life. This vacuum. Let's pray. Father, Lord, as we come before you right now,
To speak